First ever 50-50 season in the history of baseball. A 7-goal week in soccer. The WNBA playoffs about to start and NHL training camps underway. What a better time it is to be a sports fan. Hello and welcome to The House That Happened, sponsored by Shohei's Barn Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. It's number 1 in our hearts. The Phoenix rising from the ashes. Construction has begun here, opening soon. Hi, my name is Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name is Cruz. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How about yourself?
Besides the fact that I'm feeling particularly gnarly about everything going on in the world today, I'm
gnarly.
You know what I really hate? You know what? I'm so glad that we have such a diverse community, and we have such beautiful parks. So when people have their parties in the park, why don't they clean up?
Oh yeah,
I'm losing my shit. I'm an anti-litter guy. Now, I don't want to say anything because you sound xenophobic or racist or you're not in line what's going on with the world, but I'm just going to say this. If you come to our great country because you want to have a new life and you want to have it better, why don't you respect it?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. So I had one of those moments where I was my dog got into some stuff and it was all left behind by people that did not have respect for our great country called Canada. And besides the fact I won an election, that's all. And I'm not asking for much, am I? So we're not a political show. I'm not going to go there, but I'm just saying if we could have an election in the next 10 minutes, I'd be very, very happy. How was your week?
Not bad. Can't complain. Went by quick. So I worked an event on Thursday that was a fucking shit show for work, so we won't even get into that.
Okay, that kind of happens. And I should be saying this right away. There was a reason why I wasn't at the last show, but we'll get to that in a minute. It just have to do with sometimes life gets to be a whole bunch of fun, and then it gets even more fun, and then the next thing you know, you're out of control. Is that how it works, basically?
Usually. Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
Anyways, as I'm going to tell people that are still asking me on the street is, Mr. Milani already alluded to, we have construction going on inside Shohei's, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke. The timeline is anywhere from, I'm not going to say because I don't want to say something that doesn't happen, but I think it'll happen sooner than later.
ETA 2 months.
Yeah, that's
what we're being told.
That's what I'm doing. Did you get any shout-outs, buddy?
Yeah, shout out to the Humber Hawks. So baseball and softball teams are off to a great start. 1 loss so far for baseball and 2 losses so far for softball. Both going to be in contention for the OCAA gold medal. Both programs that haven't won in a few years, so hopefully they can get back to gold expectations, which Humber always has.
Well, the thing about it is I'm seeing you in your Humber gear, and it should be known that you do the play-by-play and the broadcasting for these teams. So my accomplice here is doing a lot of things on the microphone lately that are very good. Good job there at Humber.
Yeah, and I'm going to be calling 2 baseball games today against Sioux. So Sioux, not the Grace team. So hopefully some short games. Hopefully Humber can mercy rule them.
Oh, that sounds good. I want to shout out to the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Blank. People say, why want to yell out to a billionaire who has an attitude? He's a little bit crazy about doing signings and how he's run his team, and they haven't been as successful as they wanted to, being one of those on-hand owners. However, he just opened a approximately 2 million square foot children's hospital for one of the biggest in America to take care of all the kids that may have any problems with the kids. But what it is, it's like a non-profit hospital to take care of all the kids that maybe don't have the opportunity. Their parents maybe not financially stable, whatever the case may be. But I think it's always a shout out to people that do take the time to do philanthropic things that are beneficial, for the benefits for society. So big shout out to Arthur Blank.
Yeah, and I mean, Arthur Blank kind of, I guess, one of the cooler owners in the NFL, considering that one of his big things is that he wants concession prices lowered. And then they're doing a thing for, I guess he's going up in the Ring of Honor for the Atlanta Falcons. They're giving away like free food for that too, which is pretty cool. Well, whether like pro sports team does that.
Oh, not only that, I heard that they have some of the highest quality food at any football stadium with the cheapest prices. I think what it is, and even on the next game, this game, I think all the food's free, right?
At least, well, like your first round, I guess. I think you get like a drink, popcorn, and like
hot dog and all
or
that
something.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I heard the next day they're going to go do a retro thing where I think they're going to do a $2.50 thing at home.
Oh, nice.
Or something like that. Fact check me on that, but maybe Toronto could look into that, considering we are one of the most expensive experiences going to a stadium in North America, but that's another story unto itself.
That is another story. And speaking of Toronto, I'd like to shout out I think this ties into one of yours. I'd like to shout out Rogers buying out Bell's share of MLSE. Rogers
Yes.
now owns the entire 75% stake that them and Bell split. We all figured this would happen, that Rogers or at least one of the two would muscle each other out of there eventually. And I mean, kind of snuck up on us. I didn't think it would happen now, but here we are.
I think it was just great because it all happened on the day camps were opening. Are they saying that they're putting a hammer down? Now, let's give a big shout out to Edward Rogers, who may now be considered the most powerful man in sports in Canada for sure, but he's rates up there in North America now. And if Edward Rogers walked down the street right now, you wouldn't even recognize who he is.
Well, I would. I know what he looks like.
Oh, I kind of do too, but most people don't. I'm just saying that there's good, bad, and ugly about this I've been hearing. First of all, I've always thought, and we've talked about this on the show, that I've never thought it was very good for two major competitors to be owning the same operation. There just had to be a bump in the wall here anyway. So I'm glad Rogers is taking over. And not only that, they're going to take over more control of the games. Because you know that isn't Bell involved with Sportsnet?
No, Bell owns TSN.
Oh, Bell owns TSN.
Rogers owns Sportsnet.
Oh, Rogers owns Sportsnet. Okay, that's how it goes. Well, anyways, I heard this is opening the door for more games on TSN. I don't know how true that is. That's the rumor that's going.
Yeah, they got a nice deal on the way out, apparently.
Yeah, that's how it was played out, which is good because I'm going to see more Habs games where I don't have to get a box or pay money or do all that.
What does this have to do with the Habs?
Because they never get on TV.
That's because it's region locked. I don't think that's going to change because of the Leaf deal.
So I guess I'll still... No, I heard that they're getting more games on TSN.
The Toronto stuff, though.
No more Habs. Damn you people.
No, that's completely separate. That's to do with the Habs. Why would the sale of MLSE have anything to do with that?
Because I thought about the broadcast. There was something about the broadcasting rights got changed, and I heard it would be more inclusive. TSN gets more inclusive.
Yeah, but they only have region exclusive Habs games.
So when I see free Edmonton games and free Calgary games on TSN, and I don't see Habs games,
they don't show Calgary and Edmonton games on TSN.
No, rarely.
No,
I know that.
They only have the regional rights for Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg, and Montreal. Yeah. No national rights.
No, I know that it's a good deal for them, but they always black them out here anyways. The question about this is that will this monopoly be good, bad, or ugly for the fans themselves? Because a lot of people, big name pundits in the city who don't like Edward Rogers, from what I understand, are carping about this may have effect on the cost, the setup. Let's just wait and see.
The cost and setup for what?
Prices going up, more. I don't believe any of that.
I don't buy that. I don't think it's going to get worse.
No, I don't think it is either. I just think that some people that have a platform out there that may be a little larger than ours are talking about things because it's personal sounding to me about Edward Rogers. My question is, where does this leave Mr. Larry Tannenbaum, who is the de facto guy showing up on the field when you win a championship? I heard that his deal's coming up within 2 years, and there could be a shotgun deal. So a great Toronto sportsman, Larry Tannenbaum, may be out of the picture within 2 years.
Well, I mean, he already gave up 5% of his 25, right? So
yes, and he's not getting any younger.
No, that foot's already out the door, right? So exit strategy, engage, I guess.
Well, part of the reason is you're not going to live forever, so get that money into your family. I don't know, but I always thought that Larry Tannenbaum was very good for Toronto sports. He was a guy that wanted to really push things forward. For championships, he was one of the guys, and he got one with the Raptors.
Yep.
It would be
and TFC and Argos all under his watch.
So it's the big one that he hasn't got yet, but we don't know if we'll ever get that. But the interesting thing I found...
let's remain optimistic.
I'm not a Leaf guy, so I don't care.
This is a Toronto show, though.
I'm just saying, you guys keep filling your boots, be happy, do whatever.
I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, but...
I hope it happens in my lifetime just so I can see the chaos in the city. Okay, that's all I want to see.
Get ready.
But one of the interesting things that I did hear along the way is that Edward Rogers usually keeps his nose out of the higher tier of the operations when we're talking about management. Like we're talking upper management, like Shanahan running.
Yeah, the Masai's. Yeah, those guys have full autonomy to run their show.
You know, the only person that he didn't like having that position was Masai.
Oh, Rogers.
Yeah, right. Edward Rogers himself.
100%. Yeah, they're scraps, their beef, whatever you want to call it, is well documented.
Well, I'm just saying this. I still think Masai's a great executive, okay? And I think the Raptors could be one of the surprise teams in the league this year, just the way they're being built and they're starting from scratch.
I wish I had your optimism
about
the Raptors.
I'm going to keep it that way, but I'm just saying we should keep our eye on this thing because where there's smoke, there's fire. So now that he's got this much control over the situation, I wonder if this is going to have any effect on Masai in the future.
I doubt it, because I
hope so.
Keith Pelly's the chairman of the board now, so I think the buck stops with him, right?
Good.
Yeah.
Good, because Keith Pelly is a sports guy.
And that was the one thing this organization was missing after they lost Tim Lywicki, that kind of strong voice at the top. We finally got one back, so I'm very optimistic about the future of MLSE.
That's good. Anyways, it should be interesting for the sports scene in the Toronto next thing. Any other shout-outs you have?
Shout out to Adrian Wojnarowski.
Yes.
Dropped maybe his biggest Woj bomb all time this week.
Oh, yeah.
That not only is he retiring, but he's going to be the GM of St. Bonaventure basketball team, so college team in Western New York, kind of near Buffalo.
Yeah, just outside. It's like, if you want to put it in comparison, it would be like Oakville to Toronto. That's where St. Bonaventure is in context of Buffalo. However, I think it's kind of cool. Because you know what? He's been the insider of insider's insider, okay?
Yeah.
I love his views. I like the way he looks at it. We're going to miss him on a national level for him and great success with the Bonnies.
Yeah.
Because the guy is a basketball junkie. And maybe, and I'm thinking maybe he's just gone back to doing something that he loves. Young people, getting them a chance, moving it up. And maybe this will do something for the program itself, because I don't think the Bonnies have been in the tourney in the last 10 years, have they?
Yeah, I was going to say I can't remember the last time.
They were.
They're not really a relevant program anymore. No disrespect, but
I think it was in the last 10 years they do that. But you got to remember this: they've had some very famous players on their team. And if I maybe fact checked, I think their biggest player was Bob Lanier, who played for the Detroit Pistons, the first basketball team I ever paid attention to in my life.
Of course, it all comes back to Detroit.
I'm just saying, it just happened to work out that way. You know what I mean? It's kind of deal. I'm not sure if Bob McAdoo went there, but I'm pretty sure Bob Lanier was a Bonnie.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
It's all cool just to hear people in the sports world kind of give him shout out. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Apparently he was a Devils reporter back in the day.
Way back, though. That was a long time ago.
25 years ago we're talking.
Something like that. But I just loved his attitude. And you know what? What's really cool about Woj is this. Have you heard anyone say anything bad about the guy?
No, how can you?
That's what I'm saying. Now, I know there's a few other guys, if they stepped away from that, darts would be flying. You know what I mean? Good riddance to bad rubbish kind of deal. But to have somebody on this level for this long, that well respected, Woj, we're hoping you all the best, and I hope we see the Bonnies in the tourney. Absolutely.
And I guess you want to talk about your wonderful weekend at the MCM.
Well, first, before we get there, I want to have a big shout-out to Matty Curran and his girl, Monica. Sorry we couldn't make it yesterday, but they had their baby shower. So I want to shout out to them for their first child. And they went old school, and they don't even know the gender of the child. Nice. They're going to wait for the day. They don't want to shoot pink or blue shit in the air.
One of my friends is doing the same thing.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? It's old school. Oh, we don't have the room ready. Oh, what colors are we going to have? Stop it.
Just do like yellow, nice neutral color, you know?
I say you start with this, the health of the baby.
Sure.
Let's just start with that. That would be an amazing thing. So big shout out to Maddie and Monica. We will be seeing you soon. But yes, my number one shout out this week is to the MCM, the Matt Cruz Memorial Tournament that went on at Granite Ridge in North Milton. First thing I want to say, I want to thank the people of Granite Ridge themselves for really, really taking care of 140 people that were on the golf course and 176 people that came for dinner. If you ever want to have an event, try out Granite Ridge, because I'm just going to say this. The food was fabulous.
Awesome.
It was just great. It was an absolutely spectacular day. I want to have a big shout out to everybody that sponsored a hole. I'm not going to try to name you all, because it also includes Riley and Bella, who is my son's animal. So we could get a little carried away. But all you people that sponsored holes, we know who you are. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank Milton Ford, who is the number one sponsor of the tournament.
Wow.
And they put forward, they were the ones that were able to get involved with the people that had a $10,000 prize for a hole-in-one. Mm-hmm. If you got it. Nobody came close, but you had the opportunity. So Milton Ford, thank you very much. I want to thank the people of Puma, because BOH, Andrew Freeman, he's his uncle, or so they've had an amazing amount of prizes that they brought to the event. Like, if you had seen the table, we couldn't fit the prizes in this room, which was a great thing, but Puma's been a great sponsor. We can't say thank you enough. I want a quick shout out to my buddy Wade. You know who you are, Wade. My Ukrainian madman who always brings an entourage of a whack of people, but not only that, he contributes so much to the MCM because everybody knows at one point in time, him and my son used to just take the piss out of me every time they got together. It was their thing to do. So, Wade, I can't say thank you enough. I could also got a shout out to 3 girls that have done so much to keep this tournament in line when it starts. That's Tanya Waters Mendoza's again. I forget. Sorry, buddy. I know she's now married. Jenna Freeman and their niece Mackenzie. These 3 girls made sure we all had coffee, food, tripped around the on their own little carts to make sure anybody needed anything at every hole. They've been, since the day that this tournament started, they've been on the front row. I can't even tell you how many sponsors they brought because they've been doing so well. And last but not least, I got a shout out to Kevin Pick, who's been on our show. The work that he did to pull this tournament off is unbelievable. And the end result is there'll be $10,000 going to the Jays
Care Foundation.
The Jays Care Foundation in the name of my son. Brings a lump in my throat. Pick, I can't say thank you enough. And you're going to be back on the show in a month to our quarter season thing on football. However, I did not make the show last week because what we decided to do when we were golfing is I got the first chance to golf with 2 of my nephews, Trey and Trent. I just want to say this. Trent, get on the golf course more. The guy was hitting the ball 300. He rarely golfs. Driving the ball 300 yards.
Holy.
Like, I'm talking you, like he was 3 or 4. If he had to hit the right drive on the longest drive hole, he would have won it. It was good to see him. Of course, you, Zach, my son, for doing everything that you could do. But what really happened is I'm not going to blame Jerry, but he did have a little bag of tricks with him. You know what those bag of tricks are. They're kind of spongy and colorful. And I'm one of these people that say these things don't affect me. So what I did is I reached into the bag and took a handful.
Oh, my God.
And as Jerry said afterwards, he goes, Cruzy, when I seen you do that, I said, does he know what he's doing? And I've done it before. I did not. He didn't tell me it was a new batch. And he did not tell me the potency. So I would say around, after we left the tournament, of course, we went for more drinks and things kicked in. I was only 7'8" with hands the size of Wilt Chamberlain, and I knew everything on the planet, and I was the fastest guy going, knew every football pick that was going on. So that just tells you what kind of condition I was in. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
All in all, though, the MCM was an absolutely spectacular day. Once again, thank you for everybody that's being involved. We're going to be there again next year. And for every participant that came out and supported the event, even though it's a bittersweet thing for me, I can't say thank you enough to all of you.
Beautiful.
You'll be out there next year, buddy.
I will be. Okay. So we will, it's going to be a short show today. We'll move us along to Formula One, where last weekend, Azerbaijan, Oscar Piastri getting his first legit win.
Legit?
Yes.
Legit. Okay.
First legit win.
Okay. If you don't understand what we're saying, take a look at Formula One. I'm going to back that statement. Oh, how's that sound?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch some of the highlights of the races this season. You will find out quickly.
Very.
But they're in Singapore this weekend. The race is over. I'm not going to spoil it for you, though.
No.
Lando qualified on pole. Max second. Ferrari having trouble on Q3 there, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes.
This is the... wasn't Sands involved in the accident?
Yeah, that's caused the red flag in Q3.
Okay, and what happened when Perez, who did he collide with?
Well, he was out in Q2.
Okay, but I'm talking about last week's race.
Oh, right. Oh, Sainz, yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up that this guy's had 2 weeks in a row, and that's your boys.
Well, that's why he's gone.
Ooh. Anyways, big shout out to Max Verstappen because I watched all the practice and I watched the qualifying. And when you went to practice, I just thought McLaren was going to race to the front and everybody else was going to fight to get in there. Lewis Hamilton had a nice run, which put him in a position. But if you had told me after I seen the practice runs and then when qualifying came around, if you had told me Max would have been second on the poll. I would have been, whoa. So in any event, we'll see what's happening because we know how Norris starts sometimes.
Yes.
He's had his issues. Now, I want to ask you a question here.
Sure.
There's something that always goes on in Formula One where it's like stealth. Everybody's behind the back door. Everybody's tweaking and doing something. Now, what's going on with the wing extension on the back of McLaren cars where suddenly they're coming up and saying, we didn't do anything wrong? When you say, you got to say you didn't do anything wrong, you did something wrong.
Not necessarily, because F1, everyone's always pointing fingers. I mean, it's all about the interpretation of the rule and like how far you can bend it, right? So it's about being creative.
Zach Brown, you're so creative. Just get Piastri. What's it, Pastrani? Piastri. Just get him to drive your car better. Because you guys would be way ahead. Like, you know, they're ahead now in the constructors' points. Mm-hmm. The next few races are going to be crucial to figure out who's going to go. I think Max getting into second pole position today is going to put him in a position where he's going to keep his lead for the championship lead.
That was huge for him.
Huge, mega. That's what I was saying. He's my boy. I was cheering for him. But I've also had, as you well know, and it's been documented on this show, that I'm kind of like jumped on the Zach Brown bandwagon just because.
You did a complete 180. Last year, you couldn't speak ill enough about him.
Because at the time, I didn't understand that.
Because at the time, he wasn't winning?
No, because at the time,
I know, convenient.
No, because I started at the beginning of the season. When we started this, I did say something about McLaren was getting my attention. And I just seen that maybe I misinterpreted the attitude of this guy. Because I'm going to just say that he's the best bull in the China cabinet. Everybody else seems smooth in F1. Zach Brown ain't smooth.
Well, neither is Christian Horner.
Oh, that's another story, though. We don't want to go there. But any event.
In more ways than one.
Okay. I'm not going to deny that. I'm just going to say this. I think that McLaren can win constructors, which will be a
They should win. If they don't win constructors, that's a massive, massive, massive disaster.
Okay, but here's the thing. At the beginning of the season, they were picked maybe to come in fourth. They were behind the big three, and now they're running out in front, so they've done something right. So I'm going to give the guy credit. I'm just saying if they could tighten up their drivers, they'd be even more dominant. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen. I'm expecting a crazy-ass race today. I do like this layout.
Well, it's Singapore. It's a street circuit, so there's not going to be that much passing.
On some stretches, there are.
No, there's not a lot of passing.
You don't think so? No. Coming out? Then
I've seen this race a number of times. It's one of the more boring ones on the calendar.
I didn't remember that because once you get in the lead, because remember Max last year couldn't get in there. He was trying his best because I think he was.
This is a race that Red Bull failed at last year. Basically,
big time.
I think Max got fifth or sixth.
Yeah, because he had a little bit of issues trying to pass. He got a little aggressive at the time. It didn't work out. Anyways, it may be a boring race, but I'm going to wait and see. You already know the results. Don't tell me. I'll be watching it while I'm watching all of my football.
And this is going to be the last race for a month. They're going to be in Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas in a month's time. And the word is out now that this is Daniel Ricciardo's last race. He's going to be replaced with Liam Lawson at Circuit of the Americas at Red Bull 2.
I heard it's mainly because they want this guy to get some experience. It's not necessarily because they're sick of Ricciardo.
That's how they're going to spin it. They needed results.
Well, look at the car he was driving.
Well, his teammate's getting twice as many points as he is.
So you think his career's over?
Yeah.
He'll be driving.
His F1 career, at least. He might get into some other series, but I wouldn't be surprised if he drove in NASCAR or IndyCar next season.
I was thinking IndyCar because a couple of people sniffed around, especially on the ovals. They said he would be very good in the ovals, but we'll have to wait and see. He's had a decent career. I know he's not your favorite driver.
No, I mean, I appreciate what he does for the sport, but I mean, sometimes you need to know when to step aside.
Okay, step aside, buddy.
Step aside, yeah. We'll turn this over to two of our favorites here on The House That Happens. It's the Toronto Argonauts and the Toronto FC, where the Argos, what's going on here? Just a pathetic. Everyone I've talked to the last couple of days that the Argos game has come out, the first response is that was pathetic.
Beyond pathetic. You know what it is? It's those light blue uniforms. And let's not discuss light blue right now, okay, buddy? Because I'm getting... I've had some people talk to me about the light blue thing because of you, so let's just drop that. The only one who wears
that looks very light blue to me.
This is Honolulu blue. This is light blue. You see my speaker?
No, that's like aquamarine. That's closer to green.
When did you become the color expert on this show?
I've always been a color guy.
Yes, you have been always a color guy. I'll take it that way. Anyways, I just think that I watched the whole Argo game the other night.
I watched the vast majority of it. I missed like some of the first quarter, but
I don't understand how you race down and get a touchdown to go ahead. And how much time was left? A minute?
That was like 2 minutes. A minute. 57 seconds.
57 seconds left in the game and you blow it? What kind of defense are you, Argos?
The Argos secondary is horrible.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Like when you're depending on like Chad Kelly is a good quarterback, but when you're like relying on him to win games for you, like that's not a way to get it done.
No, I agree. And you know what? He almost did it on his own.
He almost did it, but I mean,
I think he had a spectacular game. I thought it's his best game since he came back. I think he should have went in the dressing room and pissed in all their beers because the defense was just absolutely atrocious. When they came back and got the score, I said, okay, Argos, way to go. And then this is Hamilton.
Yeah.
Hamilton. They've lost twice to Hamilton.
And now in your own home.
In your own home in the span of what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, basically.
Ooh.
No, that's not good.
I think Toronto's probably going to be a one and done in the playoffs. I'm really, really disappointed.
I would be shocked if they pulled off the first round upset. I'd be shocked.
Do you think they'll get the crossover because of the mess in the West?
No, I looked at it. Like Edmonton actually lost last night at home to Winnipeg, so I think that kind of puts they're done now. So,
but it's a weird playoff setup. So
yeah, but I mean, Edmonton's still like 4 points behind with like 4 points left to go. I don't think they're going to make that up.
I don't think they are either. But I mean, like,
that's the crossover right there.
Would be Edmonton.
Yeah.
So who's the other team? Who will be making it in the West? BC.
Winnipeg's in first right now. They're 8-6. BC 7-7, and then Saskatchewan is 6-7-1.
Should be interesting. I just can't believe that we got this far in the season and the CFL in the West just went right off a cliff. It must be a drag for Nathan Rourke. To go all that he went through in the training camps in the NFL, and he was benched coming back. I just think it's like everybody said. I heard, if you ever want to hear Kurt Warner talk about quarterbacking, people don't really understand the sophistication of running an offense and what you have to need to know.
Oh, you're a field general.
Thank you very much. So how much time has he really had? He's only had like about a month to run this stuff.
Nathan Rourke?
Yeah.
Well, now the BC had a bye week too, so that's going to be very interesting. They got Hamilton next weekend at home, so
I think
should be a game for them to get right back on the right foot.
They got 4 games left, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that their schedule says who? Hamilton?
For the Argos?
No,
or for BC?
BC. So I think
so they got Hamilton,
Edmonton,
Calgary, then they go into Saskatchewan, and then they got Montreal at home.
Ooh, interesting schedule. Yeah. I still think that they have a possibility of winning the division.
I mean, they're only a game back.
That's what I'm saying.
Winnipeg,
if they make the run that they did at the beginning of the season, and their other quarterback who came in and he didn't look that much better than he did earlier in the season. It's just weird how it's going on. All we hope is that Argos, let's pull an upset here because you guys are disappointing the city in a big way.
Yeah, and that was a huge blown game too because Ottawa lost at home against Montreal. Exactly. So that would have been a game for us to get the jump on them. Not to be. We'll turn this over to their disappointing...
Our other punching bag?
Yeah, their disappointing roommates, Toronto FC, who lost not one, but they lost 2 games this week. I think they were both 2-0 losses.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, against Columbus. That was midweek, and then they got Colorado last night. I wanted to watch the Colorado game last night, but it was only on Apple TV, alas.
I don't even get that. Why were they on Apple TV?
Because they have an exclusive deal with the league.
That's insane, because then you know what the average...
That's like with the MLB, like they have the Friday night games.
Yeah. But I mean, doesn't that take away from your audience? Like, does everybody? How many people got Apple's not one of the biggest services.
They're trying to get people to subscribe, so they're hoping like the MLS diehards subscribe, which they probably do.
Well, they got the Messi thing going on with Apple, so maybe they have they've got enough people on there that are already watching all kinds of soccer. I give that benefit of a doubt. Yeah. But let's cut to the chase here. I think that there's more internal problems going on with Toronto FC than people want to realize. And when I heard the press conference with the, what's his manager's name, John Herdman? John Herdman. Did you hear his press conference after the game when our good buddy Lorenzo Insigne walked off the field?
Oh, no.
You did not see the press conference?
I imagine it wasn't a good one.
He was very good at chewing nails. That's what he did. I've never heard anybody say so diplomatically, you piece of shit, I should have made you stay on the field. But, of course, you don't have the power to do that. But all of a sudden, the guy came up lame in the middle of nowhere in a tight game, and he just limped off and said, I'm done for the day. You know what I mean? And a lot of his teammates looked at him. And as you always been saying, there's been a little bit of friction between our good Italian buddies. But our other guy, I can't even say his name.
Bernadeschi.
He was the best player of Toronto FC the other night.
And he's one of the few guys getting results for this team steadily.
He had the best shot of the night, and he hit the crossbar. Beautiful shot. He had another cross that, what's Buddy, our big scorer, missed. Like an open chance that he put all the way across. So I think he's kind of earning his money. But when you hear the manager say that about one of the players, and then you see the performance on the field, I think there's an internal structure right now for Toronto FC that's just going to say, write the season off, start again next year.
Well, there's a big reason why they fired, he was the president of the Argos and TFC, right?
Yep.
There's a big mess for both teams. So, I mean, he had to go.
And so what do we expect? Like, I mean, they're still in a playoff position.
Right, but I mean, the chances of them catching up to New York or Charlotte for 7th place, those are basically gone. And now you got Montreal, you got Philadelphia, and you have Atlanta, and you have DC and Nashville, all nipping at your heels.
Exactly.
For the 8th, 9th seed. This is going to come down to the final game. I mean, Argos got 3 games left. They're in Chicago next Saturday, then versus New York Red Bulls, and versus Miami at home to close out the season. Plus a Canadian Championship in Vancouver on Wednesday.
Well, I know the Wednesday game is huge, but I think the league games are more significant because I think it would be a vast failure if they don't make the playoffs, considering the money they have, the market we're in. And will Messi come to Toronto to play with Miami?
I think they're going to rest him because they have first place basically locked up.
Exactly. So and he's going to hear about Toronto, cold, the surface, bye-bye.
Yeah, just stay in a nice warm box or something, you know?
I don't know how it's going on.
You don't even think he's going to travel.
That's my point. I don't think he's going to get on the flight to get up here, which I really think is a disservice to the league. But you can't tell Messi what to do, first and foremost. But, I mean, for all the fans and the reason why he came to MLSE and how many MLS and how many big games that he's missed in certain markets. Mm-hmm. That just tells you he's playing when he feels like it.
Sure. But it's starting to feel like the NBA in that regard.
Thank you very much. In any event, I hope they pull up their socks and make the playoffs, but I'm not betting on it.
I think they'll still make the playoffs. It's just a matter. The problem is they got to go through that play-in game, the 8-9. If they have home field advantage, though, they should be able to take that.
Big crowd still coming to BMO. They should still. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but these last few games, okay, you go into Chicago. Chicago sucks, but like it's on the road. So you're like, okay. But then their last 2 games, New York Red Bulls and Miami, those are 2 of the top teams in the East.
Yes, could be some issues. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll have to see about that. We'll move this on to European soccer.
Oh, yes.
First of all, we'd like to pay our respects to Toto Schillaci, dead at 59. He was the Golden Boot winner for Italy at the 1990 World Cup. Kind of was a crazy stretch because like he did not play many national games for Italy, but he just kind of found fire that one tournament and found his way into the starting lineup. Just kept putting them away.
He died at a young age too.
Yeah, 59.
That's what I'm saying. Condolences to his family. I'm glad that you've given us this historical perspective because I think that they lowered some flags in some places in Italy, from what I heard. So yeah, sorry to hear that. Condolences to the family.
Absolutely. But then, of course, we're going to go over some of the big news that happened. So Liverpool lost 1-0 versus Nottingham Forest at home. Probably one of the biggest upsets, the biggest upset
of the
last
year.
Week. Yeah,
of the year. That's what they're saying. You know what it is? I've been taking time to more listen to the commentary of what's going on in the Premier League. I think I listen to it just to hear some of these guys' accents. You know what I mean? And when they put in the nuances of soccer, I got to rewind and say, what did he say? You know what I mean? But I get this Liverpool
a lot like colloquialisms and
that's what makes soccer. You know what I mean? But that was a huge loss, which leaves the light blue and white team from Man City is the only undefeated team in England, even though they did have a tie in the Champions, right? Correct.
That doesn't count for that, though.
No, but I'm saying, but that may affect their ability to advance in the Champions League, shouldn't it? Unless they keep winning.
I mean, you have 7 more games left to go in the first round, so plenty of
That's
time
down
left
the
to
road.
go for that, yeah.
Down the road, definitely.
Everton blew another 2-0 lead, this
Yes.
time at Aston Villa. They lost
Yes.
3-2.
Yes.
Arsenal won at Tottenham, 1-0 in the North London derby.
Yep.
We had a few hat tricks. So Yavi Puado had a hat trick for Espanyol versus Deportivo Alavés. Hope I got that right. Harry Kane got a hat trick for Bayern Munich at Holstein Kiel. And later in the week, he scored 4 goals and had a couple of assists in a 9-2 Bayern win versus Dynamo Zagreb, a Croatian squad. Bayern, the first team to score 9 goals in a Champions League match.
Oh, it was insane. But here's the thing. How come we never see Harry Kane on the big game? Like, when it's Euro and World Cup, I mean, he
definitely has that reputation.
Yeah, he's like the guy. Like, I mean, when I went to look at some of the highlights of some of the goals he scored. A couple were spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the right place, the right time. But if you're a good player, that's how it worked. But I think that Harry Kane may never get the level of respect some of the young English players play, because even Beckham and a couple of the other guys, when they were in the World Cup and won the Euros, they played great. They just didn't win. But Harry Kane's never had that game.
Yeah, with Italy, we've had a few strikers that have kind of done the same thing.
Yeah.
You think of Luca Toni. I mean, he won the World Cup with the 06 team, but he was never
Not the
quite able
guy.
to get the big goals.
Yep.
Then, oh my God, I'm blanking the other guy recently. He played for Lazio. Immobile, same deal. Scored a ton of goals in league matches, but then when it came down to the big game for Italy, can never quite put it away.
Yeah, and you know what? That, as they say, at the highest level of competition, the biggest games on the table, and if you don't show in those games, they always seem to put an asterisk beside your name, which is unfortunate.
Fairly or unfairly, yeah.
Yeah, Harry Kane's having a great career. Come on.
Oh, absolutely.
He's having a great career.
I mean, you don't find yourself as the striker on Bayern Munich for being mediocre.
bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
A bomb, and that's Bayern Munich we're talking about here.
The class of Germany.
Thank you very much. They're at the top of the league too, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they're at the top.
And then the other Champions League match I want to get to, Inter getting the draw in Manchester City. So that's a huge boom there for Inter.
For Inter, yes.
Arguably the best Italian team getting a draw in the home of the best English team.
But we'll be talking about this 7 games from now, and we'll see where it all falls its way out.
Roma fired Daniele De Rossi. He was one of the heroes for Italy in the 06 World Cup. And basically, if you're a Roma fan, you either have a Totti jersey or you have a De Rossi jersey, or both. He was fired as manager after going winless in his first 4 games.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's...
They don't waste time over there.
No.
The only one that fires coaches quicker is in the NHL.
Exactly.
I don't, you see, I'm just coming into the nuances of soccer, but I've noticed that, man. If you don't win in a minute, you're out. You're booted out the door. You know
Well, because
what I mean?
it's the 3 points that they're so huge, right? And if you're behind the 8 ball from the start, like...
Oh, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a chance. You get a losing streak and you're out the door. I mean, and that's why I'm finding some of these big coaches are coming to the MLS, because they're getting the money, but it's less pressure. Is that?
Yeah, they're kind of the North American patience, I guess, right?
I guess. I'm not really sure. But one of the things that we should point out, because we haven't mentioned La Liga yet, have we?
Yeah, we did. One of the
I just
the
want
hat
to
tricks.
point out about this is that Barcelona is looking like Barcelona.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm studying, trying to get a little bit of history. They're what? They're 5-0 and dominated every game.
Pretty much.
I think one game they had to score late to win, but they were dominated because their time of possession was insane. But it looks like they're going to be a powerhouse this year in their league. They got to be the front runner by far. don't you
Definitely
think?
one of the favorites for Champions League.
100%.
Up there with like Man City, I would say. I think I said that in the opening, like one of the shows a couple weeks ago. I said Man City, Inter, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich, probably the top favorites for Champions League.
Should be interesting, that's for sure.
Other big news in soccer is PSG refusing to pay the $55 million euros to Mbappe.
That's what I was asking about.
And that's going to be going to court.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there 2 other players that have this kind of deal, but it's not Mbappe's, is just because the money's so huge?
Yeah. So he's arguing that they still owe him in, I guess, salary
Yeah.
from the last few seasons. So, and PSG's got the cash, so I imagine they're going to be forced to pay.
Well, they should be.
Exactly.
They should be, and they got a nice return on his leaving anyway. So I don't get that transfership, but when I do, I'm cheering for him, the man, to get his money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now time for my goal of the week. So there's a few contenders. So Hudson Odoi had a great one for Nottingham Forest, getting the winner at Liverpool in that match we talked about before.
Yep.
Your boy Haaland getting a 32-minute goal for Manchester City against Brentford, another beauty.
I thought it was good too, but I thought it was standard fare for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else would be spectacular, but for him, it's standard fare.
Hey,
he's
any
a
other
great
week,
goal scorer.
Hey, oh, absolutely. Arguably
stunning.
the best goal scorer in the world right now.
Yep.
And I mean, like, it might have been the goal of the week if it wasn't for our winner, but a couple more. Lamina had a great one for Wolverhampton, 36 minutes against Newcastle United. Abdul Mumin had a great one, 50th minute. This is in La Liga for Rayo Vallecano versus Osasuna.
Yep.
But my goal of the week was Duran, 76th minute, Aston Villa getting the winner at Everton, or versus Everton rather, to pull off the comeback win.
I thought that goal was good, but we got to remember the other, you did mention it, is that Fabian Schär guy. I thought his, like, when it came down to it and I looked at the highlights, I said, which goal did I like better? But ultimately I went with this, was his name Duran? Beautiful goal. If you don't watch soccer, or you're like a guy like me who probably doesn't really give it that much care in my pantheon of watching sports, I do like watching the highlights now, because this goal by this dude, man, was just spectacular. And then let's get back to what we said before, winning the Euros. It is a beautiful game when you see goals like that.
Yeah.
So anybody, go look at the highlights. It was Everton versus
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. Just go look at the highlights. I will acquiesce and say, yeah, we'll call that our goal of the week.
Absolutely. Glad we agree. And we'll move this over to the WNBA, where the playoffs are going to start today. But before we get to that, a little bit of news. A'ja Wilson became the first player in league history to score 1,000 points in the WNBA season. Just another notch on her belt for her. What should be a unanimous MVP season for her, unless you're just like a wretched hater or an idiot.
Yes, and here's the thing: is I think their team is rolling into form.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean. I think that the team had, because they had 4 players that went to the Olympics on the team.
Yeah.
So I think they had that Olympic.
But they started the season a little on the kind of like as well, you know, like they're kind of mediocre to begin, but they've found their way late, which this is the time where you want to find your form.
Oh, and who did they play in the first round?
Seattle.
Which is probably going to be the best match.
4 versus a 5, really going out on a limb there. But
no, but I'm saying, because Seattle should have been better, and the Aces should have been better. And
Seattle doesn't look that strong, though. We'll get to predictions later, but
okay.
And then the other piece of news, Portland getting a team for the 2026 season.
That's in line with the Toronto team.
Yeah, although I think, because they said something, it's like the 15th franchise or something, so I think there's another team coming in too.
I thought that would be even, because Toronto was the one, and then they add another one to get it even.
Yeah, let me quickly.
I'm pretty sure that's how it went. I could be right. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's going to be Golden State, or I guess San Francisco. They're going to be getting a team next year, and then Toronto, Portland the year after. So I guess it's part of a big expansion plan. So there's probably going to be a 16th team announced soon, I imagine, for probably the 2027 season. Good
for them. I'm glad they're getting the exposure there are. And if you really want to watch it, this is a time to watch the WNBA, because these playoff games are going to be dogfights.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
A big shout out, though. I know there's been a lot of talk about a lot of other things that have gone on in the NBA, WNBA, and including us with our weekly report, which we really don't have to do anymore because now we're in the playoffs. But people should take a look at this A'ja Wilson basketball player. She is one of one. She's absolutely spectacular on both ends of the floor. Like when you watch those games, you notice her immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, like 27 points per game, 12 rebounds.
Yeah.
Like almost 2.5 assists, over 50% from the field, over 30% from three. About 85% from the free throw line, 2 steals a game, 2.5 blocks per game. Like
she's in line also for the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Not only she's going to be unanimous MVP, but she's also getting consideration for defensive player of the year. And nothing has happened that in basketball since like maybe Jordan on the men's side. Like when do you get MVP and then you're defensive player of the year at the same time? So this is Jordan-esque in a weird way.
Although the Jordan defensive player of the year, I don't know if you heard, there's some sketchiness with that because they were like inflating some of his defensive numbers. I don't know if you've heard that, but that's neither here nor there.
I heard all about that. I'm just saying this. I was never the biggest Michael Jordan fan, but the guy could play D.
Sure.
That's where we're at.
Let's get to the playoff matchups. So we have New York Liberty. They're the number 1 seed. They are playing number 8 seed Atlanta Dream. So Washington and Chicago just barely missed out on the last day. I'm going to say this is going to be a sweep, 2-0 Liberty.
100%.
Liberty's too strong. I think they're the top. I mean, we talked about Las Vegas looking good, but I think this is going to be New York's year to win it.
I say ultimately, and we'll talk about it here because I'm going to say the Aces are going to win their series. Okay. I'm thinking that the final is going to end up being New York and Vegas because it lines
that depends
up
on
way.
The seeding, though, or is it a fixed bracket?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure because they'd have to play in the next round, wouldn't they?
If it is a fixed bracket, yes.
Yeah, I can't remember if they're reseeding. I don't know enough about the NBA to WNBA to be able to say that.
Yeah, let me quickly check. But
the word around the campfire is, can the Indiana Fever?
It is a fixed bracket, so it would be Vegas versus New York in the next round.
And so I say the winner of that series will win it all. Do you think? Okay, go ahead with the other series before I butt in.
So next up is the number 2 seeded Minnesota Lynx going up against number 7 Phoenix Mercury. I think this is going to be another 2-0 sweep.
I do too. I definitely.
And if you're not aware of the playoff format for the first round, the home team, like the team with home court advantage, gets the first 2 games, and if it goes to game 3, then the other team goes there. So if you're able to force that game 3, then the lower seed team,
shot.
Yeah, you got a shot. I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. But I like the fact that it's end loaded for the teams that had the great regular season.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I think it always should be in every sport, even though it doesn't seem to work that way. But that's another story.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're both on sweeps for New York and Minnesota.
Yep.
Next up is the Connecticut Sun, number 3 seed, going up against the number 6 seed Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark.
I think that this is absolutely the best matchup that the Fever could get up against Connecticut. They've already beat them this year. They play them tough, and when they did lose to them earlier in the year, that's when Caitlin was throwing all those turnovers. If you notice now, the people know where to go when she's passing the ball. She's got a player on her team in the last 6 or 7 games that scored 20 points a game, and Caitlin's been throwing her the ball all day. And here's what also is happening with the Fever. They're playing
Kelsey Mitchell?
Yeah, that's her name. She's been outstanding. But the thing about the Fever is they're playing a modicum of defense. Because earlier in the year, they were just run and gun.
Yeah,
They just run and gun is all they ever did. But now they seem to have some type of structured defense. I think that Connecticut will win in 3, break their hearts in Indiana for the game 3. But I think that's going to be the most competitive series in the first round.
I'm going to call an upset, Indiana in 3.
Wow. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think the experience on Connecticut, because they were another team that had some of the girls that went to the Olympics.
Sure.
And they kind of had that post-Olympic malaise, and they've got the experience, playoff experience, that I think that may get them over the hump.
Okay, and then last but not least, the Las Vegas Aces against the Seattle Storm. You're saying this is going to be the most interesting playoff series? You're going to stand by that?
No, I think the Indiana one is going to be better. I think that the Vegas is going to beat them 2 straight, just to let everybody know they mean business. They're going to mean business. Asia Wilson's going to say no, because like you said,
I'm going to say that too.
I think because they're going to mean business because they're already looking ahead to New York. That's how I look at it. So anyways, it's a great competition. Everybody, turn on your television. The games are going to be on, especially on NBA TV.
Yep.
And I hope it's a spectacular playoff. Yeah,
we are both looking forward to the WNBA playoffs. Best of luck to everybody competing there tonight. And I guess it's going to be all week, rather. We'll move this over to the NHL, where, first of all, we'd like to extend a congratulations from the House That Happens to Zach Sandu for being invited to the Detroit Red Wings training camp.
Very close to our hearts and very close to the establishment with which we are in right now. Zach, we're cheering for you.
Yep.
Play as hard as you can. Don't leave nothing on the table, and you'll get noticed.
Exactly. And a few retirements this week as well. Kyle Okposo retires as a champion after his run with the Florida Panthers. And what's wrong with Kyle Okposo?
He's okay.
He's a good player.
Solid.
Wow, okay, just being a hater today.
Thank you.
And Jaromir Jagr is going to retire at the end of the season.
Well, listen, we don't want to bring the guy out in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? His wheelchair and his silver suitcase full of money.
It's a weird situation, though, where he's keeping his hometown team afloat, though.
Well, that's because his love of hockey. That's all it is. It's just sheer love of hockey.
Sure.
And he's made enough money. He's blown enough money. But, yeah, congratulations. Back in the day, he was my favorite player. He won a hockey pool in his rookie year. I took him in the playoff pool, and that's when he broke out, won $2,000. So
nice.
I'll always have a very special place in my heart for Jaromir Jagr. Great hockey player. What, top 10 all time?
Oh, of course, easy.
Good to hear. Which brings us, is there any other retirements you want to talk about?
No.
Okay, so we can get to the Toronto Maple Leaf report.
Exactly.
One of the reasons I'm goddamn gnarly. You know what? We got wars going on over thing. We've had some flooding in the city. We've had some domestic terrorism issues. And every time I turn on the TV, all it says the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, they're not going to talk about that, all the other stuff on TSN.
Oh, you go to the same news. You go to CTV. Oh, the Toronto Maple Leafs open training camp today. I thought it was the parting of the seas. I thought it was Moses coming down from the mountains with the tablets.
Oh, stop
and
it.
everybody was hugging Mitch Marner. I didn't get a chance to walk his dog, by the way. But everybody was hugging Mitch Marner. It's a beautiful thing. All the storylines coming out that are just bullshit. William Nylander's little brother going to play on a line with Domi during the preseason? Got the whole city just jumping. When's the last time you had two brothers playing on the same line for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
You know what's funny? You're the only guy I've heard talking about this.
I heard it already. I've heard on 2 shows talking about it.
Okay. Again, crowded out with this talking head nonsense. Who the fuck cares?
That's what I'm bringing it up.
Okay, then stop watching.
Oh, well, you know what?
Don't listen to them. Listen to us.
I am doing that. But what you have to do is you have to have a plethora of information that you funnel down into your desk to get to the house that happens. And what is funneled down?
Well, that's not information. That's like garbage opinions.
That's what's making me crazy. I can't turn on the TV and it's something about the Leafs. Like, what shoe are they tying on this thing? You got to admit, overkill. It's overkill on the Leafs. I hope they have a great season. I hope things go well.
That's rich.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's the best I can do at short notice. How's that?
Speaking of rich,
and you're already saying that because you're such a Leaf diehard that you have to put up with me. And you're just going, boy, if I could just have that punching bag in the cartoon.
I'm just feeling disrespected because I'm going to be very nice.
Disrespected.
No, because I'm being very nice to Montreal. I'm not going to kick down.
You have to be nice. I'm being nice to your team. I have to be.
No, you're not being nice.
I think it's going to be good. I just think it's like this. There's little things that just drive me crazy, okay? Max Pacioretty should not play in the top 6 for starters. Let's see if he makes the team.
Well, they're going to give him a chance there.
Let's see if he can make the team.
He'll make the team.
Okay.
He's wearing 67. I don't know if you saw that.
I heard the 67, which is good. I give him credit for that.
Me too.
Because that has nothing to do with him. People forget about history, past stuff. Don't bring that to the table every time because it shouldn't affect what's going on today.
Yeah.
So I give Pacioretty a lot of credit for that. Why do we have to talk about Nylander being a center? What happened last year? The guy played 2 games, they yanked him. I liked this press conference.
I liked it too. Where it's like, why didn't you play center last year? He's like, I know you should ask my old coach.
Oh, it's just killer.
That was classic Willie.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? Slowly but surely, I'm liking this guy more and more. I used to think when he was a little bit younger that he should have shown a little bit more aggression or give me a little bit more personality, which is really not a big thing with the Swedes. But as of late, and
who cares about personality? It's about results on the ice.
Okay, so great. He's having some decent results on the ice, but sometimes he doesn't defend himself when he gets to the press. Now I think that he's got a little bit more confidence with a statement like that made at the press conference. Come on, didn't you fall off your seat laughing?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, me too. And I said, okay, that's a little bit more for a Nylander that I can like. So let's get your perspective of what's going on.
Like him going on at center?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Of course, the new coach is going to want to see what he can do there.
Oh,
if it works, it works. If it doesn't, whatever. It's going to be like last year. Like, who cares?
Bottom line is
we know he can cut it at the wing. So
Oh, that's what I say too. But I mean, he's such a fantastic skater. The question is will he be able to hold up his end on the defensive side?
That's the question.
That's the number one. And
his defensive game has gotten better. He's playing penalty kill now.
Yeah, so. That's what I'm saying. So I mean, playing center is a lot more responsibility, especially on the defensive zone. I'm hoping you give him a chance because what that would do, that would be like Austin Matthews and Nylander as your first two centers, and if they're both going to get you over 80 points a year, that's a great start to your season.
Yeah, and you go Tavares' number 3 line.
Thank you very much. And Tavares is not going to bitch about that.
No, of course not.
Because it wouldn't be interesting if your third line had Tavares and Pacioretty, and Pacioretty got you 25 goals. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that he is because you still got to. He's another guy with an Achilles thing that he's working his way through.
Sure.
After a while, but I just think that the scuttlebutt in the city is absolutely insane because I just have to accept the fact that I live in the city of Toronto. And when the Leafs fart, everyone wants to know what it smells like. That's just the world that we live in, don't you think?
Sure. Okay. I mean, if we were living in Montreal, it'd be the same about the Habs.
I agree that it's probably a little bit just as incestuous.
Plus, there you get the craziness of the French media, too.
Let's not, you know what? As a disciple of the Montreal Canadiens, there's a thing about the French part that sometimes irks me in ways I won't even mention on the air. How's that?
And they've really taken over the team the last, 50, 60, 70 years.
Well, you know what? It's time to change, people. You know what I mean? It's time to change. Like, if you don't speak French and you're a coach, you can't coach. If you don't do this, you can't be this. Like, that's parochial. That's like 1950s thinking. And you're not getting the two best French players in the league anymore like it was in the 60s or something. This is a new day, a new time. If you're going to go, if Montreal's going to take their next step, bust through the curtain, become a contender, and be the team that I want them to be, I think they should start pushing some of these issues to the side. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't even care if you speak Swahili. If you can speak 30 goals, I'm good with that. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? It's overbearing at times.
Yeah, well, it's more of an issue with like the players or the guys in management more than the players, I think.
100%.
Yeah. But back to the Leafs, though. One statement I loved was finally someone putting their fucking balls on the table and just saying cup or bust, and that was Morgan Riley.
Thank you very much, man. And I'm glad you brought that up. He just looked right in the camera, didn't even say nothing. This is where we're at. Nobody on the Leafs said that. We're expecting this. We expect this. We expect what? Knocked out in the first round? I thought that was huge. And Riley's one of the big five, so to speak, and he's been here long enough. He should be an elder spokesman on the team. But for him to look into the camera and say that, I thought it was amazing. I do admit this. Mitch Marner handled his press conference very well.
I thought so, too.
I thought,
we all knew it would be a spicy one between the contract and not inviting Sportsnet, TSN to the golf tournament.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but as we discussed off the air, he's probably a little bit rehearsed.
I mean, all these guys are rehearsed, though.
Morgan just sounded like, I'm walking up the mic. This is the deal, people.
Okay, well, we're talking apples and oranges with these things. But this was more like, we know this is going to be coming. However, I'm not going to hold it against the guy that he was rehearsed in that situation.
No, and I think that sometimes he's taken a little bit too much flack from the press because it's interesting, though. It's a results-oriented business. And in the biggest games of the year, there's been some questions. So he's got that freaking albatross on his back, which I hope he can throw off. What I found is interesting is ever since he's been to that camp, a bunch of people all played together. All I hear is the kumbayas about Mitch Marner. Like nobody has, what have you heard bad about Mitch Marner besides nothing?
Especially in these last couple of weeks, guys have really come to bat for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe we should back off and let him play, and you'll give him his $12 million a year when he has 60 points by Christmas.
Yeah,
how is that? What do you think?
I called it. He's gonna score 100 points this year.
That would be amazing for your team. The question is, who's going to play on the line with him and Austin?
Probably Nyes is going to get the first chance.
I think he should do. And your buddy Camrock or whatever, he's
Yarncroke?
I don't think he's a second-line guy.
I think he's a third-line guy. But, I mean, the rumor is he's one of the guys that they're looking to get out to try and make cap space for Pacioretty.
I also heard that one of the defensemen, too. Which defenseman?
Oh, the one that Dubas brought in a couple years ago. That guy's, yeah.
Yeah, I heard he's on
Timmins?
Yeah,
get him out of there. He can't get out of there fast enough.
Well, that's what they're saying because they're going to have to do something because according to Puckpedia, what are you guys over $2 million over the cap right now?
I think it's 1.1.
Well, yeah.
So Timmins is like pretty much exactly.
And that would do it. What's going to happen with our buddy Robertson? He's still asking to be traded. I think that they should just make him play.
I think that's what they're going to do. Hang on there, buddy. You got to play well. Maybe we can find a deal for you.
I'm hoping so.
He's on a line with Tavares to start. So.
Oh, I think that's going to be well. You know what I mean? Tavares, and he's an even strength goal guy.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to do.
If he can find some power play time, that could push him to the next level.
That's what it is. We're not because the show is going to be a little bit shorter. Then
we got to
keep moving on. I just want to ask you one question, and this drives me nuts. Word around the campfire that it's been bubbling up the talk of expansion. Is this league nuts?
We've talked about this.
I know, but it came up
Atlanta
on a fight.
And what's the other
Houston.
one? Yeah, Houston. Nah, I'm not buying Houston, but.
Well, they're going to go back to Arizona. The only reason
Arizona, yeah.
The only reason I'm bringing it up.
Or sorry, Atlanta, Arizona.
Yeah, okay. So the only reason I'm bringing it up is this. For this reason, we're hockey nuts here. We love this game. Why water it down?
Money.
So what you're going to do, okay, so that means we're going to have all of these freaking games that are going to be shit because the quality of the teams are going to be awful. You know what I'd vote for? Extraction. That's the only reason I'm not. I'm saying let's go to the Board of Governors and say extraction, not expansion. You know what I mean? The only good thing for the league is money. What about your quality of play? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Now, I heard this. Do you believe this? And this is when I heard one of the spins on this, and I said, I want to go to that store where you got that weed. Well, we are exposing ourselves to bigger places in the world, so therefore the grassroots development means there'll be more players exposed to be playing in the NHL. I said, what?
There's an element of truth to that. We've seen like the California boom.
Okay.
And it takes time for the seeds to grow. Arizona, we're starting to see hockey players come from Arizona now.
Okay, right. Okay, so I'm going to put this into this perspective. Until I put my hand in the wound, I'm not going to believe it because, we're getting players from all over the world. We've exhausted Europe now. What are they going to start doing? Putting hockey rinks in Australia? I do hear they are starting to do that.
Yeah, they are starting to do that.
And I also heard that there's an Asian link coming up where the Japanese want to see more hockey going on. But is this going to improve the amount of players that are going to go in the NHL so we can have the quality of play doesn't drop down? I don't think so.
Well, my worry is that the goaltending is going to be hurt right away.
Number one. Okay, so we'll end the conversation there. Cruz wants extraction because there ain't enough goalies. End of story.
Yeah. Going back to Leafs, though, they have a new helmet sponsor, Oreo. So now it's Oreos on the helmet and milk on the chest, so cookies and milk.
And we know what happens when you put your Oreo in the milk, right?
Tastes good.
Get soft. Get soft.
Okay.
I don't want to say Toronto Maple Leafs and soft in the same sentence because it's too early in the year.
You just did, so
did I?
Failed.
Okay, sorry.
Shout out to the 18,000 that went to go see the Habs Montreal rookie game in Montreal.
Oh, you know what? That just verifies everything we said about our arguments that were both sides of the table, okay? 200 people showed up for the prospect game in St. Louis. Just to give you a variation, I think, what was it? Philadelphia had a decent for their whatever was like down in that New Jersey area. 18,000 people. 18,000. And the money went to charity, didn't it? Most of it, which was really cool.
I'm not sure, but
I heard that half the price went there. But think about this. If you don't understand what we're talking about, the two craziest markets of hockey in North America, I don't give a shit anyone's saying. Detroit's got their moments, Philly's got their moments, but you can't outdo Montreal and Toronto.
No.
Just by the fact that 18,000 people showed up to see a bunch of kids.
Yeah, guys that aren't going to even make the team most likely.
I just heard that it was a good day for the Montreal defensemen. Everybody's eyes opened when they put those boys out there. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to mention their names. We're going to have a preseason preview because I know you're going to bash me as soon as I say some of these guys' names when they come up. So I'm not in the mood for that because I'm already in a gnarly disposition. But I thought it's spectacular. 18,000 people showing up for a prospect game on a hot day in Montreal. Insane.
Must be Canada.
Only place to be in the world, baby.
We're going to hit up some things quickly before we end hockey. So a few contracts. Lucas Raymond got an 8-year extension, $8.075 in Detroit. Moritz Seider also got an extension, 7-year, $8.55. So just putting them just below Dylan Larkin, the both of them. Mm-hmm. Dallas re-signed a couple of their defensemen. Lindell signed for 5 by $5.25. Then Harley, 2 by $4 million.
I thought those were great signings for the money.
Yeah.
For the money, I
thought value.
And I like Harley. I think he's still relatively young. Mm-hmm. Yeah, great signings.
But perhaps the biggest signing of this week was Sidney Crosby going back to Pittsburgh, 2-year deal, still at an $8.7 million cap hit, the ultimate discount in the NHL. It's funny, too, because he was interviewed by Elliot Friedman a couple weeks ago, and they asked him, is it going to be 8.7? He kind of, scoffed at the question.
Oh, 100%.
The greatest poker face in history, I suppose.
Oh, and you looked at him like what you're talking about. I happened to see that or hear that interview, and you got to love Sid.
How can you not?
If you don't like Sid, you don't like hockey. Now, let's take it one step further. Not every player is in his position where he's made the money and endorsements and stuff like that, and I wonder if that has to come into play. Because he's playing for the team so he can keep in line with the salary cap because he wants to win. Ultimate team guy. And all he's doing, to leave all that money on the table to win.
Yeah, he could have gotten over 12 on the open market.
Easily going away. Is he a top 20 player in the league still? Probably. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Top 10, if not close.
I would put him in there just because I like the guy, and he's from Nova Scotia. But
come on, but the season he had last year,
if
the Penguins were in playoff contention, he would have been a Hart in the Hart conversation.
No doubt about it. If they had made the playoffs,
Yeah,
he would have definitely been in the Hart conversation. But we're going to have a preview show coming soon, so we'll be able to discuss the nuances of who's making the playoffs and who's not, and what we're going to do, and perhaps maybe we're going to have our top 25 show too.
Yes, we'd like to do that. But then a few captaincies being named. So Nick Foligno gets the captain, it gets the C in Chicago. Victor Hedman gets the C in Tampa. That one's really no surprise. The one that really got me was the Anaheim Ducks naming that spineless thug, Radko Gudas captain.
I knew that would get your attention. Well, you need someone to stick up for him. When you're speaking of extraction, there's a team we can extract.
Anaheim?
Yes. Yeah. Come on.
I don't know. When Ryan Reeves wanted to say hi to him, he hid behind the wall saying he was hurt all of a sudden. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I don't know, Anaheim.
We'll see.
Extraction,
please.
Kevin Labanc getting a PTO in New Jersey. I think that's going to be a good move. Someone that could fill in on their bottom six. And some bad news, TJ Oshie is going to be out indefinitely. Looks like he's going to miss the season.
Good luck to you, man. And I hope you come back, heal as quickly as you can. That's kind of one of the drag things what you hear about hockey.
Yeah.
But before we go on hockey, I just want to say one thing you mentioned on the show last week when I was here. Lanny McDonald and Mike Gardner being involved in the Hall of Fame. Can we have a situation where you put real Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame? Cut out the old boys club?
It's never going to happen.
Oh, boo. Well, we'll go on. I just wanted that stated that because one day we're going to have a show where we're going to say 10 guys that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I can find them.
You could do a video on that.
Maybe I will.
We will turn this over to the NFL where Cruz, your baby blue tiger or your baby blue Lions lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I knew you were going to bring this up. Okay.
Crapped on at the beginning of the year. No, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're 2-0 now.
I'm not saying that Tampa wasn't going to make the playoffs. I said they'd probably come in second behind Atlanta, and I don't think maybe I picked them to make the playoffs or not. I can't remember. But let's talk about this here, okay? The Detroit Lions had a week of discombobulation. I'm glad they did it there.
You did not pick Tampa Bay to make the playoffs.
Good. Maybe I made a mistake. Okay. But anyways, what happened there was one of those stub your toe things. Okay? Did you see the numbers of the game? Did you see time of possession? Did you see yards? If you were an alien and you come down and didn't look at the score and you looked at the box sheet, you'd say, how badly did Detroit win? Now, I'm going to say this. Jared Goff, watch what you're doing throwing the ball. And there was 2 bad calls that weren't made against Detroit. One resulted in an interception, but every team in the league is dealing with that, so I'll just accept that for the way it is. That being said, they're going into Arizona today, and they're going to crush those guys.
Ooh. You think
so?
You
heard, oh, yeah, because they're pissed. How do you have a game where the guy like Aiden Hutchinson has 4.5 sacks and you lose? I will give credit to this, and this is one thing that scares me. Baker Mayfield won that game against Detroit. If you watch the game, he escaped, maybe because he's small. He squirted out of a couple of situations. I go, how do you get out of there? And you know me with the rewind. I'm rewinding it a couple times, and one of them was for a 20-yard scamper, and one that he threw when our coverage was a little light with our rookie. And, of course, our rookie from Alabama, he's going to be a great safety, Terrian, what's his name? Last name Terrian. He's grabbing a bit. And the refs are going to throw the flags because those are new. But we'll talk about the flags later.
Yeah.
That's another story.
The Saints also blow out the Cowboys. That was probably the biggest surprise of the week. Saints now 2-0 after a couple big games.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that New Orleans does have some defense, but people are forgetting something. Do you know who the offensive coordinator is for the New Orleans Saints?
Remind me.
Clint Kubiak. I seen a great thing where Kurt Warner was talking about it. Did you see the tentacles of where he goes back to? Like where his thing from his dad to Shanahan to this guy.
Okay.
And they're showing pictures on the screen where he's standing on the side or he's in the dressing room. And I don't even think he had hair in his balls on those days. And now he's become there. It's really changed because is Derek Carr a great quarterback?
No.
Or is he just above average quarterback?
I mean, he's good. He's getting the results there. But, I mean, the one that's really stealing the show is Alvin Kamara. If you have him on your fantasy team right now, you are laughing.
Okay, so we'll get to the picks in a minute. David Carr, a couple years ago, was in line to win the MVP and broke his leg with the Raiders. And then the John Gruden thing came up and everything collapsed. So maybe he is a little bit better than we're realizing because he's over the hump with injuries and he's looking all that stuff.
I mean, he deserves to be a starter, but...
Oh, no doubt about it. But he throws a great deep ball. He throws a great deep ball, and he's got two speeds there in that Shereen Olev guy. So
Olave.
we'll get to Olave. We'll get to that, to the picks in a minute. But what other things did you find surprising last week?
The Packers center that puked on the ball.
Shit happens.
Can't the referee have blown dead hey guys, let's get a new
Can't
clean.
do it.
Why?
Because then you're talking about time. You're talking about time.
But that's disgusting.
Okay,
it's a matter of health and safety.
What's his name said? Malik Willis said, "I couldn't. Why did you throw it? Because I couldn't hit my hands on the ball."
Yeah.
I felt worse for him anyway. I thought that you can't. You had to let the play go through. Green Bay wasn't going to give up a timeout at that time, and then it's at the referee's discretion. The referee said the guy puked. So what? Game goes on.
Ugh.
Okay, I thought it was disgusting too, but what did they do? They threw the ball on the side, brought in a new one, gave him some Pepto-Bismol, and the game went on, and they won. What more do you want?
I don't know. Maybe not puke on the ball would be nice, but
Not the first time I've seen it.
Ew.
Not the first time. I've seen it in college a couple times too, but that's another story. The
Raiders beat the Ravens. That's
okay. I want to talk
upset.
about two games that I don't understand. When you're playing in the NFL and you're supposed to have some kind of contention, the two teams that really puked it up last week were the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night.
Oh.
How can you, you know what I mean? You know what?
Saquon's got butterfingers.
The next 90 catches. That's just the wrong place, wrong time, baby. But you know what my question is? Why didn't they run the ball to kill the clock?
Did you hear what's the coach's name? I'm having a blank. Nick
Sirianni.
Yeah, Sirianni. He basically blamed Hurts for that play. He's like, there's a mechanism for him to get sacked and run the clock there. I'm like, buddy, the running back couldn't execute there. Why are you blaming the quarterback? He gave him a perfect throw.
Well, I'm going to put it this way. I think that there's dissension between the coach and the quarterback.
Well, obviously.
Everybody knows that. So
we're better or worse than Rodgers and oh my God,
I think that's overplayed. Salah,
thank you.
That was a big overplay thing because it was on a national TV game. If that was a Sunday afternoon game at 1:00, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. That's the hype machine called the NFL.
I'm not so sure. It's New York. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he looked great.
He did.
Absolutely good. But that just let me expose your New England team. Is a team that's not going to be able to score, and they expose.
Is that a surprise to anybody?
No, look at the first two games of the year. Everybody was talking about this. One of the surprise teams, the New England Patriots. Now, I will say this. It was a short week. I don't know what their scheme was on defense, considering they're a team that is supposed to be a bit of a defensive juggernaut, including from our good friend Mina Kimes.
Sure.
She even said they got it. They're going to cover the spread. Ugh.
I didn't believe that.
No, I said Jets all day. I said, here's coming. And that's when I say when we get to our picks now, I'm going to start explaining to people why the first 2 weeks are anomaly most of the time. And now we're going to get into the regular because we're almost in October and preseason's over.
Yes, exactly.
Don't kid yourself, people. This is preseason. You know what I mean? First of all, we'll talk about, I got a little thing going on in the gospel that I don't want to really spoil right now, but every time you see these flags flying, it takes away from the game. Do you know we've had 30% increase in the amount of flags in the first two games since compared to last season? I think it's 30%. Sometimes I don't even know why they are calling the flag. You know what I mean? Now, we discussed this off the air, which is a really great team, is that replay assist mechanism they have in, which completely takes away from anything the NFL has ever told us about. If we got to check on it, it's going to take time. It's going to slow the game down. How many cameras do we have? What are the angles? All of a sudden, this new assist comes out. What does it take them? 30 seconds. Oh, no, that wasn't pass interference. No, that wasn't outside. So something is funny about this. Roger Goodell in the script for the season. That's just weird. Doesn't that weird you out?
What weirds me out?
The fact that one of the arguments about challenges and all that.
Well, the technology got better, though.
Technology was here 5 years ago. Come on, that's bullshit.
Well, it's probably an issue of cost as well.
What? You're talking the NFL? It cost.
Well,
they can afford
it's
anything
all about cost.
they want.
It's all about the bottom line with these guys.
Stop it. They got too much money. I'm just saying this.
I know, better late than never. That's what I say.
Thank you very much. But the thing that drives me nuts, when I seen how quickly these decisions come in, and the biggest talk about how long they got to look at the camera, we got to go back to New York, don't take away from the flow of the game, the players are waiting, what are the fans doing? And how many years have we heard that?
I don't know.
Lots. And now all of a sudden you got replay, assist and bang, it's in 30 seconds. You've been bullshitting me, NFL. So keep it in. I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't know. It was probably just a matter of them trying to like work out the kinks in the system. They probably wanted to get it in there sooner, but
obviously there's issues because they still got the chain gang. They're not using the
much to my dismay, but
okay, I like to see it. Did you see the guy get taken out though?
no.
In the Atlanta game, one of the flag guys.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Or was it the Philadelphia game? I know running back just took him out, but that's another story. There were some interesting storylines last week in the game, though. And what people are realizing is everybody's saying that you're hearing it everywhere, too, is the defenses are taking over. I don't believe that for a second. I'm saying that once this preseason is over and everybody gets their schemes together, back up go the scores. But the biggest problem is the quarterback play. That's obviously like some of these guys are not ready to play football.
You're talking about some of the rookies?
Bryce Young is now on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So
might get traded.
Oh, that's insane. That's when I say that whole organization should be pushed off with a bulldozer from the owner on down. But let's look at a little thing here that I've said for years when I've been watching it. Unless you're a spectacular rookie, I see there's no particular reason why you should be playing the first 10 games of your career as a starter. When I was a kid, you didn't even get it for a year. Now, let's take a look around at what has happened, okay? And it's obvious. You're hearing it everywhere. They threw Kyler Murray into the fire. He got banged up. He got hurt. Now he sat down for a period of time. He reassessed his stuff. I'm scared of Kyler Murray this afternoon because what he has, he's had a couple years to figure this out. Geno Smith, Exhibit A. Another one. Look at him out there.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, I think is just... I think midnight's coming on Sam Darnold, and that's coming
MVP
today.
Sam Darnold?
That's coming today. But if you don't have the proper quarterback play in the league, you're not going anywhere. You need the guy. Is Gardner Minshew the guy? Or is Baltimore just puked it up so badly?
I think Baltimore just puked it up.
So if Baltimore goes 0-3 against Dallas today in Jerry's world, are they done for the season?
I mean, we've talked about this. Only one team has come back from down 0-4, so the chances are slim to none, especially in that division. They're probably dead.
Okay, so we're also talking about that Cincinnati Bengals. This is a must-win game today too, right?
100%.
So any other surprises from last week that caught your mind?
So San Francisco losing to Minnesota. We mentioned Sam Darnold.
Can I just wait a second? Did you hear the stats? Sometimes you got to hear trends. Have you heard the stat on that game?
Oh, you told me about it. Like, when was the last time San Francisco got a win in Minnesota?
1992.
Before I was even born.
Thank you very much. And Brady, my good friend Darren Brady, who's a Viking diehard,
bartender at Chewy's.
Yes, sat side by side with my son, both Vikings guys. They used to sit together just to watch Lions games to piss me off, but that's another story. Sometimes you got to respect those stats. And there is a thing about teams traveling from West Coast to East Coast. The numbers have been there for years to validate that, but I think San Francisco is in a little bit of trouble.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I'm not going to push the panic button yet,
no,
but we need to keep moving.
They're 1-1. Okay, yeah.
Cardinals crushing the Rams. That was a surprise.
Oh, I wasn't.
Chiefs that was the score. That was a surprise, not necessarily the win. And then the Chiefs eking out a win against the Bengals. Bengals finding another way to lose this one. Chiefs really finding their way in the second half. We talked about the Monday Night Football. I think that's good for me. We could just get to the picks, I guess.
Okay, I just want to tell everybody, in considering where the flags are and everything, that pass interference on 4th down in the game. Did you see Joe Burrows lose his shit?
Yeah.
That was pass interference. Don't start with the whole thing you used to do to New England. Brady gets all the calls. Now, what do you always hear? Mahomes gets all the calls. People, you know what? I'm a professional hater. But do people hate greatness?
100% if it means their team losing.
Well, everyone's going to say it's because of my Michigan connection. I'm saying this. If you don't like Patrick Mahomes, you don't like football. And if you don't really like, if you watch the quarterback series on Netflix?
Not yet.
You'll love him even more.
Okay.
You will. That was a great series. I'm getting ready to watch Receiver. Okay, should we get to our
So one thing I want to ask you before we get to our picks. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Denver, the Giants, Panthers, and the Rams. All 0-2. Who's got the best chance to make the playoffs?
Tennessee Titans.
What?
You seen their defense?
Have you seen Will Levis?
Oh, he's going to learn. He's just a guy that's trying to.
He's not that good.
He can throw the ball downfield. His problem is he's trying to make things happen that don't.
That's his career.
Okay, but that's
not going to change.
I think if they tighten him up, Brett Favre was like that when he came in the league, by the way.
Nah,
I'm not saying he's Brett Favre, but I'm saying one of the teams that I think is going to rise from the dust here is Tennessee. And I also think the Indianapolis Colts are going to take a turn too, because they've lost 2 very close games because Anthony Richards hasn't quite tightened it up. And their defense, look at the defensive metrics. They're in the top 3, but it's only 2 games. It's a small sample size. So Detroit leads the league in sacks. So what?
I'm shocked about the Rams, honestly.
You know what it was? The guy that went down, the O-line guy went down. And then that one of the guys in the secondary went down. And you know what it's that thing is? That was the sweater effect. I watched the game. That little thing on your sweater, you pulled the thing and you just thought you were going to rip it out and the whole sweater falls apart. Okay, let's get to our picks because I may surprise you.
Yes. So first up, we got the Giants at the Cleveland Browns. Browns favored by 6.5 at home. I'm taking the Browns.
All day.
Yeah, easy pick there. The Giants suck.
Yeah.
Even though it's a dirty word on the show, I don't care. Chicago Bears at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts favored by 1.5 at home. I'm going to take the Colts.
What am I telling you about the Colts rising and Tennessee rising? I'm taking the Colts all day. And you know what, 1.5? I might even bet on ProLine today, the over. What the over on that game? I mean, like, you can bet them on the point spread, but you can also double the point. Yeah, I'm making that bet.
Houston at Minnesota. Houston favored by 2 on the road. I'm going to take the Texans.
Toughest game of the week, but I'm going with the Texans too because I think it's Minnesota, right?
Yep.
I think Minnesota got away with one last week. They won't do it again.
Philadelphia at New Orleans. New Orleans favored by 2.5 at home. I'm going to take the Saints.
We have to take the Saints because Philadelphia has never beaten a first-place team on the road when they've been underdog in about 5 years.
Ooh, good stat.
Yeah, something like that.
LA Chargers at the
Chargers
Pittsburgh Steelers.
All day, surprise team of the league.
Steelers favored by 2.5. Sounds like we're both on the Chargers.
This is going to be one of those things when it's pumpkin time for Pittsburgh. God bless TJ Watt and the defense that's there.
My pick for Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, we got Aiden. Don't go too far. Don't get ahead of yourself there. And Max Crosby too, and Fred Warner. So let's just
saying he's my pick.
Slow your roll on that, baby. But I think that Pittsburgh, Justin Fields has been great, but I think that this is a time where things are going to change.
Denver Broncos at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks favored by 6 at home. I think Tampa's going to smoke them.
Come on. Okay, that's a gimme. We're right in line this week.
Yeah,
Tampa to me is a surprise team, but I think they got away with murder last week. I really did. Like, I'm giving Baker Mayfield all the credit in the world, so I think they should win today. And they got a solid D.
We might disagree here. Green Bay at Tennessee. Tennessee favored by 3 at home. I'm going to take Green Bay for the road upset.
I'm taking the home dog all day. Tennessee.
They're not dogs.
I mean, Tennessee the favorite. You know why? Because they play great defense. They've lost 2 games that they could have won. It just slipped away on them. You know what I'm saying? They gave games away. I think it's time that they do the tighten up. They've got some of the best metrics on defense in the league. Only 2 games, but it's a good start.
Carolina at the Vegas Raiders. Raiders favored by 5.5 at home. I'm going to take Vegas. Carolina is dog poop.
I say Vegas by 15. And Vegas ain't winning anymore after this. They're not a very good team. You know what I mean? Baltimore gave them that game last week. How do you give that up? 10 points at home in the fourth quarter, and you puke that up? Come on.
Miami at Seattle. This one's going to be tough to call. Seattle favored by 4 at home.
You got a quarterback named Skyler, you ain't winning. End of story. Okay, let's just got.
So you're on Seattle
all day long.
I think Seattle wins, but I think Miami keeps it close. So I'm
not
gonna take
a
Miami.
chance. We got Skyler starting for you today.
He did pretty well. Like the last time we saw him, we had to fill in. Got Miami to the playoffs a couple years ago.
He won a game.
Just saying.
Defense was there. You know who he reminds me of? A poor man's Will Levis.
Okay.
Just to let you know how I'm feeling about the guy.
Well, he's got a much better supporting cast than Will Levis. Mm-hmm. Detroit at Arizona. Detroit favored by 3 on the road. I'm going to take the home dog. Give me Arizona.
Taking Detroit all day. This is going to show you whether the team that we really are. We have not ran on all cylinders on both games. We've made like preseason mistakes. I think we're going to tighten up this week. I'm a little worried about Kyler Murray and his mobility, but I think the defense is going to start getting better as we go along. And you know what? We can score if we run the ball. Detroit, run the ball. We got maybe the best O-line in the league. Shove it down their throat. And a beautiful day in Arizona, we win by 10.
All right, Baltimore at Dallas. Baltimore, the road favorite by 1 point. I'm going to take Dallas, the home dogs.
I'm taking the Ravens because Dallas can't frickin' stop the run. They're a fast, smooth, SWAT team kind of defense that are front runners. If Baltimore runs King Henry down their throat and the secondary plays up to their potential, going to be a good game, but I'm taking the Ravens.
San Francisco at the Rams. San Francisco favored by 6 points on the road. I don't know if the Rams are going to win this, but I think they keep it close. I'm going to take the Rams.
I'm going to take the Rams all day. San Francisco has not covered 6 points against the Rams in years.
Wow.
They have done it at home, but they haven't done it in L.A.
Yeah. The Sunday nighter, Kansas City at Atlanta. Back-to-back weeks with the primetime game for the Falcons, but Kansas City favored by 3 points on the road. I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Okay, here's the problem with this. I like the Falcons, and I already put it in. But here's one thing you got to remember, and just start of the season and look what's gone on. Monday night winner, Sunday afternoon loser.
Well, Sunday night.
What?
Does that change the equation?
No, Monday night.
Yeah, but they're not playing Sunday afternoon. They're playing Sunday night now.
Okay, on Sunday, whatever the case may be. Let's just go look at what's the Monday night game so far this year. Let's go. Monday night, first game, San Francisco. What happened the next week?
Yeah, they lost to Minnesota.
Okay, week 2, Monday night. What was happening? Oh, because that's when we only had one, right?
Yeah.
So they won. So that's why I'm not taking Philadelphia already in week 2. I mean, that's why I'm scared of Atlanta.
So you're going to take Kansas City?
No, I'm taking Atlanta anyway. But when I lose, it's going to be because I told myself I should have listened to that stat.
Okay.
And we're going to monitor that for the year.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
we have a double Monday night game. So Jacksonville at Buffalo. Buffalo
Give me
favored
the
by
bees.
5.5 at home. I'm
Give
on
me the
Buffalo
bees.
too.
Give me the bees.
And last but not least, Washington at
Bees.
Cincinnati.
Bees.
Cincinnati favored by 7.5 at home.
Give me the bees.
Oh,
Buffalo
the
Bengals.
Bengals?
Buffalo the Bengals.
I'm actually going to take Washington.
Oh, you're out of your mind. After the performance, I can't.
I think that spread's too big.
Oh, you know what? I think Cincinnati.
Monday night, weird things happen.
Yeah, like when they score 45 points.
No chance.
No, come on, man. They should have beat KC in Arrowhead.
But they didn't.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Finding ways to beat themselves.
Jaden Daniels is not Patrick Mahomes yet.
I didn't say he was.
Okay, so I'm on the Bengals bandwagon. I think they're going to come all the way.
All right,
back.
so we're mostly the same, but with a few differences. We're going to have a little bit of time here to do some baseball.
Which we should.
So David Schneider catches fire again for the Jays. Bo Bichette hurt again. But the real big news, Ohtani hit 50-50 this week.
You know what? My first favorite player when I was a kid was Bob Gibson. Then I remember Tom Seaver. I remember the Amazing Mets. I remember Johnny Bench doing shit. I seen the Reggie games. We seen all the Yankees stuff in time. This is one of the greatest baseball performances I've ever seen in my life.
Went for 6 for 6 in that game as well with a couple home runs.
17 total bases, 2 stolen bases, 5 extra base hits in a 6 for 6 game. I don't think anybody's had 5 extra base hits at 6 for 6. I think that there was 4 of 6. Anyways, if you go and check the numbers on Ohtani, the firsts ever. Ohtani's got a freaking list in his back pocket of first in a game that's been played for 125, 150 years.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I mean, so he hit 50-50, and I mean, there's still 9 games left or something?
No, it's only 7. It ends next week.
Well, he could hit 55-55 is my point.
Oh, I think he's going to do it anyway. I'm really, what has happened in baseball, we're really quick because we'll have a baseball preview, is about 8 weeks ago, we were always saying, I can't wait to see this NL wildcard race. It should be amazing. That went up in smoke because where is the real wildcard race? In the American League. God bless the Detroit Tigers. Here we go. And they're only
half a game out.
But you know what? Kansas City, who was a sweetheart of the season, they're not comfortable just yet.
No, they lost their last 6, in fact.
And not only that, Seattle has suddenly reared their head. I don't think they'll do it because they don't have enough
inning. Too little, too late.
But they're only 2 games in the loss column, isn't it? Between them and Kansas City, or 3 games.
Between them, the Royals and the Twins, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and what's the loss column difference when you go from those teams? Detroit's got 1 more loss, right?
Yeah.
Minnesota. And then Seattle's only got 2 more losses there. So these next 7 games are extremely important. I do believe I'm going to be a homer. I think Detroit's going to sneak in.
Interesting.
Not
they
only
have
that,
the time.
Here's the thing is, you go back to the trade deadline, you had Texas and Detroit in the same position. Texas was buyers, Detroit was sellers. Look how this worked out.
I know, right?
That's insane. Imagine we had Flaherty of the Dodgers still in our
Although
staff.
I think it kind of worked out for you that kind of got rid of him in a way, because like now it's allowed you guys to get a little bit more creative with how you guys allocate your pitchers, using the opener on some days, and the way you guys use the bullpen. It's worked to your advantage.
Very much so.
And you guys would not be doing that if you still had Flaherty.
And not only that, we've got the bullpens had the best ERA in the majors in the last 20 games.
There you go.
So it's going to be quite interesting. We should keep our close eye on it. I think the Dodgers are not a shoe-in, all with Ohtani and all that, because we're just talking about how Detroit has worked out their pitching. Well, guess what? The Dodgers don't even know who's going out on the mound tomorrow.
I've said this before. I think the Dodgers are going to be in a bad spot once we get to the playoffs.
I do too. They might hit their way through it. And Arizona's trying to hit their way through it.
But even with that, like, you just got to take care of those few guys at the top of the lineup, because the Dodgers don't have much hitting depth, do they?
And you know who has a pitching staff that can take care of the top of their lineup? The San Diego Padres.
If they may not line up to play each other, though.
Oh, eventually they will if they both keep winning. I can see an NLCS where it could be San Diego and the Dodgers. I could see that.
You think San Diego beats Philly?
Philly better be careful. Don't be lazy.
Okay.
Could be lazy. Is that who they're going to play in the first round?
That's the way it would line up.
Oh, it would line up. But Philly's going to get the bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Philly and the Dodgers.
They'll get the bye.
But the Yankees pulling away from the Orioles. Greg Kimbrell DFA'd by the Orioles.
So what?
Yeah. Brewers clinched the AL Central. I believe the Guardians clinched the AL Central. Yankees clinched the playoff spot. Dodgers and Phillies also clinching playoff spots, but not the division yet.
I think the scariest thing you got to look at is the Baltimore falling off the cliff after I was pumping their tires for so long.
And, the Mets catching up to the D-backs, and Grimace got his own seat at Citi Field.
Congratulations. Anyways, we'd like to talk more about baseball, but we're running on a strict time because my good friend here, Milani, has baseball issues that he has to get to.
So we'll just have time for a quick trivia question, then I got to get out of here.
Okay, we'll save the gospel for next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, trivia question provided by Steven. Mm-hmm. The 2011 MLB wildcard race was truly a wild one. On September 2011.
Okay.
On September 2nd, 2011, which two teams were holding the AL and NL wildcard spots and lost out to which two teams? Bonus points if you can guess how many games their lead was on September 2nd to the teams they would eventually lose to. I think I remember this.
San Francisco was one of them, wasn't it?
No. So for the AL, it was the Red Sox that lost out to the Rays, I believe.
Oh yeah, I think you're right there. But
and then in the NL, I think it was the Braves that lost their spot to. Oh boy.
I thought it was out west, and Houston snuck in.
No,
because they were still in the league.
I remember 100% it was the Braves that lost out, and it would have been to. Oh geez.
St. Louis.
Oh, that might be right.
Because they were in and around that time.
And then, because
what a great trivia question, by the way.
Because this was the intro for one of the MLB for MLB 12. It had that was the intro of the game. It had the crazy wild card race.
Oh, that's right.
So I can't remember how big their leads were. I'm maybe 7 games.
Steven, that's an amazing trivia question, by the way. I can't wait to have you on our hockey preview show.
So it was the Red Sox and the Braves that lost out to the Rays and the Cardinals. So we tag teamed that.
Okay, good.
And the Red Sox had a 9-game lead. The Braves had an 8.5-game lead.
Oh, boo. I think it was pitching staff got injuries on Atlanta. I remember something went haywire with the pitching staff. Coming down the stretch, they couldn't get anybody out. Steven, once again, this is 3 weeks in a row. We've had amazing trivia questions for you. Can we keep going on? In any event, like I said, my accomplice here, Mr. Milani, has far too much to do. I will bring the gospel back to you next week, and it is on a Sunday, so we will.
Saturday's show next. Well, next week's going to be back to Saturday.
Next to Saturday,
and we're going to have a little bit more time because I don't have to be at Humber until 1:30. So
okay, I think by that time we'll be doing our baseball playoff preview.
Yeah, we will definitely include that in next week's show.
100%.
Or actually,
I think, the season's over.
Next weekend it's still the last series, so
we may have to wait due to the fact, but it'll be interesting.
Well, I don't know if we're gonna have time to do a full preview. We might have to just kind of guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Although by that time most of it should be locked up, but we'll see.
I think the American League will be still a mess. It should be a mess. We don't know who's going to get what. But in any event, once again, thanks everybody that showed up for the MCM, especially organizing it from Kevin Pick. Is there anything else you would like to say today?
That's it. Just have a good week, people, and stay safe.
That's all we can ask for. You know what I mean? And like they always say, be kind to somebody, you could make them happier. In any event,
My name is Andrew Milani.
And my name is Cruz. And what do?
We keep the vibe alive. You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.